Hello, America, and welcome back to another episode of To Hear Me Tell It, the life and times of Jerry Daniels. When you've had your daily dose of today's craziness, dealing with all them Karens out there, ride shotgun with old JD as he goes back and recounts the life and times of growing up in the South during the 60s and 70s. I believe we were called baby boomers. Stories that you will say, yep, I done that, but I ain't gonna tell my kids, and I ain't never told my spouse. But whatever the truth be, it will be this, to hear me tell it. Well, good morning, folks, and welcome to another episode of To Hear Me Tell It. All I can say is it's not the frozen tundra anymore, which is a good thing. It was freaking cold last week, y'all. It was cold. How cold was it? It was cold enough to freeze the hair off a bald-ass roach. How about that? That's pretty cold. It is so difficult. I don't know how the other folks do it. They're probably professionals, so they don't have the amateur setup that I have. But how do they do this and not look at themselves? Because I want to look at me. I can see me, but I got to look at the camera. And they probably got something they inhale or something to get their vocal cords all ready and stuff. Today is my sister's birthday. Happy birthday, Robin. I am so proud of you. I love you. And you are a beautiful, wonderful, she's going to be mad if I say it, but my lovely sister is turning 66 today. 66. Man, I tell you what, we were little, we never, ever, ever. Of course, when you're little, you're not supposed to think about shit like this, growing old. But I would have never thought that me and her would be here. Anyway, but we are, and we're blessed. Praise the Lord. Also, tomorrow, and I didn't even say today is February the 5th, but tomorrow is Bill Amos's birthday, and he will be 66. So anybody that's listening to this knows Bill Amos. Wish him, too, a happy birthday. But my sister's birthday is today. So, kind of like my sister and Bill, they're one day apart. Me and my wife are one day apart. Same year, just, less than 24 hours. Anyway, hey, I want to say thank you all to the folks that are listening. I appreciate y'all. My podcast, since I started, and this right here, I think will be number 170. I guess I could come over here and look real quick. But let me see. What episode will this be? Let me see. Where are we at? Y'all bear with me. I know if you're listening, you're like, dude, I can't believe you're doing this on an audio. Well, I am. Okay, today will be number 175. I probably should write that down. So this is the 175th episode, and I've been averaging once a week. I know during Christmas I had a spell there where I just said I'm not doing it for like a month. So I took a sabbatical. But anyway, since I started, I forgot where I was going with this. I've had over 7,500 downloads. So now, in the big scheme of things, that's nothing. In the podcast world, that's like somebody would look at me and laugh and go, boy, you better get those numbers up. And I'm not doing it about the numbers. I'm doing it because I just enjoy doing it. And this will become, I'm looking at my list over here. You don't see it on another screen. But there's a list over here of all these episodes, and they're digitally obviously saved and backed up. But maybe my grandkids will be able to listen to them. Yeah, I got it, man. It's that time of the year. I'm gonna put my phone on silent, say something happens. Anyway, all right. So for those that are listening, going down the road, listening to it just in this audio podcast form, I appreciate you. Thank you for subscribing and listening. Those who do watch the YouTube version of this, you actually get to see me. But I do ask that you do this, is subscribe to my YouTube channel and share it with others and get them to subscribe as well. All right. The chickens are doing great. I just came from the chicken coop just a few minutes ago. And I was walking back up to the house with a handful of eggs, and I was walking up there, and I said 6 by 6, meaning the chickens, they had already laid 6 eggs by 6 a.m. Now somebody goes, well, Dad, I don't believe that. Well, it's true. But the thing is to, again, well-fed, low stress. And I have a light that comes on in the coop around 5:45. That light comes on. And when I say 6 by 6, I don't know if it was exactly 6 o'clock, but it's already 7:42 here. But I went out there, and there was already 6 eggs in there at 6 something this morning. So, and both of my sapphire gems have laid already. And it's so funny. So this morning, 4 eggs was in nest number 1, and 2 eggs were in nest number 5. So 2, 3, and 4 didn't have anything. But apparently, and I don't understand this, but apparently the flock, somebody has decided, ooh, now best nest 5 is not the thing anymore. So they're starting to favor number 1, and I don't understand it, and that's okay. Bottom line is, chicken's doing good. I'm going to talk about several things today, and I'm going to try to hit them and just move along and without reading the news headlines. Laura made a comment yesterday sitting on the couch. She goes, there is no good news in news. And I'm like, no, there's not. There is no good news in news. You know, I don't know how long the news channels, I'm looking for my cloth here. I don't know how long the news channels have been doing what they do. Obviously, we've had newspapers for a long time. But broadcast news, I guess is what I'm saying. But here's the reality of it is, you know, entertainment on the radio, you know, it's all about sales. It's all about selling ads. TV, it's all about selling ads. And news channels is no different. It used to be back in the day, it was the news. But as soon as and I'm all about free market enterprise, capitalism, that's what you want to call it, that's fine. But I'm all about it. But you know, it's sad. It's sad. It is what it is, but it's sad that the reality of it is once the people who sell people stuff realize, oh, there's a bunch of people watching this, they want to get their ad on there. And it's all about ratings and marketing. So I say that because it's sad about this lady that's come up missing in Arizona, Miss Guthrie. You know, I pray that they find her. I hope she's not harmed. Who knows? But here's my point about this thing right here. And people have already brought it up. And Fox News is not any better than the rest of them. They are covering this like a national sports event, you know, and Fox News came on the other morning and not just Fox, several news organizations, CNN, MSNBC, all of them. I think this was like 2 mornings ago. They must have spent 30 straight minutes. Now you think about this. 30 minutes on national TV, and they're interviewing, you know, retired detective so-and-so and retired investigator so-and-so, and, you know, and they don't do it, but, you know, they put that mic in front of their face. Well, Mr. Johnson, tell us what you think is going on with this kidnapping of this woman. Well, John, I think that the fact that they got no street lights out there, and the fact that, you know, and it's sensationalism. It is absolute. And you know what? And I told Laura this. I said, if this was your damn mama, this would never make news. Never. So the family, shame on them, the family of this woman, they're riding the wave too. They're loving it. They're getting it. They don't realize it, but they're loving it and they're getting it. You know, if this was my mama, I tell them, well, y'all just shut the F up and get this off the TV and let us deal with this. But no, they are making it, hell, probably international, but it's become a national news story because Samantha Guthrie, who I don't even know, never knew the woman existed because I don't watch those kind of shows, but her mama gets kidnapped. And now it is national news. It's every day. Boom, boom, boom. And now the drama is turned into a clown show. It's a circus. So now it's the sheriff said this, and he's pissed off about that, and so didn't do this, and they turned over this too quick. Now they're back out there. Now they put the tape back up, and now they got the dogs out there. And then so-and-so said they got a ransom note and all this kind of stuff. It's just freaking drama, man. It is pathetic. I'm serious. It's sad that our society, I guess, clings to this shit. I'm not being ugly, but I'm sorry for Miss Guthrie. I hope they find her. But this ain't news. It's not. I don't need to see it. You know, boom, 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 boom. But the reason they do it, boom, 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 is because it sells. It sells. So that's pretty damn sad. I'm going to talk about a couple things. Let me tell you what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about these damn protesters, a.k.a. rioters. I'm going to talk about what happened to the Gaza and the whole Palestinian thing. What happened to that? That just like went away. I guess all those who, from the river to the sea and all those waving the things and free Palestine, I guess, did y'all get tired? Or did the people that pay y'all to do all the protesting say, all right, we're done with this project, let's move on to another one? And that's kind of like they're contractors. So all these rioters, well, let me back up. They say they're protesting. They're not protesting. The people that are out there in the streets carrying these little freshly made signs, and they're wearing this and they got that on and all that shit, and they got the vest, they're paid agitators, instigators. They're contract mercenaries is what they are. They're social mercenaries contracted to just create chaos. That's what, and that's how you destabilize a country, is you make it unstable. So that's all these people are. And that influence comes from Russia, it comes from China, it comes from George Soros, and a host of other woke, liberal, anti-American communist organizations. They want to destabilize America as much as they possibly can. So all these people, and it's not being racist or anything, because I'm not, but it's funny is that man, it's like a bunch of old retired whack liberal white people. Like, and I've seen them on the news, man. These people are absolutely whacked, man. Bad. I'm talking bad. Mentally ill bad. So they're not protesters. They're paid social mercenary to agitate and instigate chaos. That's all they are. That's all they are. Now there is a portion, aka them idiots up in Minnesota. Those people are just anarchists. They want to just tear up shit, you know. I remember when I lived in Brunswick, Maine, and it was my first winter there. My first winter in Brunswick, Maine. This is like January or February of 1984, and I was living in the barracks at Naval Air Station, Brunswick, and man, it was cold, y'all. And I'm old Georgia boy. I ain't never been this cold. It was freaking cold. And I remember going outside one morning, and they had at the barracks there was 4 long barracks on this side of this parking lot, and there was 4 long barracks on this side. So this big parking lot, like a rectangle, had 4 big barracks, long barracks, 3 levels high, concrete, just barracks. And there was 4 on this side. And you could walk between one building and another building because it had these little corridors that would go between each building. So you had 4 over here, you had 4 on this side, you had a big parking lot in the middle, and then anybody could get to any building without having to go outside. And you may say, well, how do they get from these 4 over to these 4? Because what happened is a corridor went up here, and then it went way over here. I'm sorry, wrong way. Went way over here and it went down to the other ones. So these 4 and these 4 tied into each other. And then there was 2 corridors that went up, and then they went across, and then they teed, and then another corridor went up to the chow hall. So literally you could go from any of those 8 barracks from one to the other. Excuse me, damn it. And you could go to the chow hall without ever going outside, which was nice, which was really nice up there in the winter. And then outside the doors of these barracks, there was a rack, and they were actually, I think they were used for bicycle racks, but there was a number of shovels. They were snow shovels, and they were standing up in a rack like that. And then that's how, even though during the night somebody from the base plowed the parking lot, you'd have a big mountain of snow behind or in front of your car and you couldn't get out. If you needed to get in between your car or to shovel out so you could get out, you had these shovels and you just used them and you put them back. And that was a pretty good system. It worked. Sorry, y'all. But anyway, my point being is like, well, how did you go from rioters, agitators to this? Because one morning I walked outside and I had just bought this Toyota truck. It was a brand new 1984 Toyota 4x4. I wished I had it. Man, it would be so valuable today. But that was a cool truck. And I did a lot of work on it, kept it for 11 years. I regret selling that truck. But I walked outside the barracks one morning, get ready to go to the hangar, and I don't remember having a flight. So I wasn't, trying to make a pre-flight or anything, but I don't think I was qualified then. So I just got to my squadron. And I walked out there, and my damn truck antenna was broke about 3 inches from the bottom, laying over. And I thought, well, what the hell happened here? And then I looked, and all throughout the parking lot, every antenna was broken, and some of the mirrors were knocked off the cars, busted. So I called security. They came over. They did a big report, and they didn't have security cameras back then like they did today. It's a shame. But this reminds me of that. I'm like, what sorry piece of crap feels that this is okay. I mean, I don't understand I don't understand the what's up here. What causes somebody to walk around and go, I'm just going to break everybody's damn antennas and damage their car? And you know what? And somebody said this on the radio or on the TV the other day. They're pissed off because they don't have a car. That's what it is. They're pissed off because they don't feel they have what you have, so they want to damage your shit. So all these idiots, especially in Minnesota and everywhere else to the U.S., that do all this rioting to the point where they just tear up shit. The reason they tear up shit is because they ain't got shit. And I don't know how to explain it. I'm not a psychologist. I don't know. But I know that they're just pissed off that they don't have what other people have. That's it. And they don't know how to deal with it. That's what it is. They lack the internal skill sets, whatever you want to call them, coping mechanisms. They can't deal with the fact that they're in a class called the have-nots. They can't deal with it. Now, and I think that's been going on since the day of man. It's very sinful. They're godless people. But they don't have anything, so they want to tear up your shit. So they don't have, I mean, there's actually people that feel like, well, I saw this woman on the TV the other day. She got caught and she was stealing. She goes, and it was like from Target. Well, they don't bother them people. They got insurance. I can steal from them. I'm like, you're stealing. But this woman's logic is, I don't have what they have. I can just take what I want because they got a lot. And you know what? That's how socialism and communism appeals to those groups of people. They make them feel like they're a victim. You've been oppressed. You don't have. So we're gonna make sure you're gonna get your due. We're gonna make sure you get a piece of the pie. Cause we're gonna take some pie from somebody and give it to you. Well, eventually they run out of pie. That's what happens. That's the reason socialism, communism never works. They run out of pie eventually. But go back to these damn agitators and protesters. They're not protesters. They don't give a shit. These people in these streets, especially Minnesota, standing out there, they don't give a rat's ass about an ICE agent showing up at somebody's damn apartment, kicking in the door, dragging out some rapist that came from El Salvador or San Salvador or Guatemala or Venezuela or Zimbabwe or Kenya or Oman or Somalia. They don't give a shit. They don't care. They just look for a mechanism and an avenue to destroy shit. And that's what they do. They just want to piss people off. And they get paid. So, like, going back to the whole Palestinian Gaza whole thing, Reason that petered out is because the employers, they don't see the good in it. They're not getting a return on their investment anymore. So then they turn off the faucet and go, that's it. We're not paying those people anymore. Well, then they quit protesting. The protest just goes away. It's like, phew. It's like, why? Well, because the money dried up. They ain't getting paid to do it no more. What do? And y'all can, you don't have to trust me. You can look. They just go to the next one. I mean, these are hired contractors that do the bidding. They get the contracts. Hey, I'll get you 5,000 protesters, and we'll do this and we'll do that, and we'll be around the clock. I got a day shift and a night shift. You'll need to set up a couple of storage units so we can get all the merchandise and get all the signs and all the gear, the gas masks, the vests, the shields, whatever the hell. They got to get all that shit. They're very organized. So that's what they are. Yeah, if I had my druthers, I know how to stop this. Tom Holman knows how to stop this. Donald Trump knows how to stop this. Most common sense Americans know how to stop it. But we can't. We can't. Hurt their feelings. All right. Scratch that off my damn list. But that leads into my next topic. So we see on the news here the last couple of days, this is all politics day, guys, but we see on the news last couple of days is we got several little clans of asswipes that they believe, and they're led to believe, that I guess it's okay, it's lawful, it's civil to set up roadblocks and checkpoints on taxpayer-built public roadways. So I saw it. It's in Minnesota. So, like at a large intersection that has traffic lights, got a bunch of tick turds out there with heaters and built fire pits, and they got coffee urns, and they got chairs, and they got little tents for wind blocks and wind breaks. They put up some pallets around there. They got some signage, and they walk around like they're in charge of something, like they're a security detail. And they're screening people, taking pictures of license plates and all this kind of stuff, but they're screening people to see if any of them are undesirable. So who are the undesirables? Anybody that looks like they're going to be a Trump supporter, your ass is not welcome there. You can't go past the checkpoint. If you even suspected of being an ICE agent, undercover or whatever, this mob will come out and stop your car, and they're going to screen you. Now, I don't know where y'all are from. I know where I'm from. First of all, this is happening because the local Minneapolis, St. Paul, whatever city it's in, to include their damn governor. But the controlling agency for law enforcement is looking the other way, and they're allowing it to happen because they're spineless, jellyfish, woke cowards. That's what they are. Yeah, you, the mayor of Minneapolis, you are a piece of crap, spineless, jellyfish coward. Coward. In the largest sense, you're a coward. You're a fool, but you, my sir, are a coward. The governor, you're a coward by not going to see that mayor and go, what the F are you doing? Do you have any idea how unfrickin' democratic this is? This is mob rule socialism. That's all it is. The brown shirts during the Nazi days, they set up these little things all around these neighborhoods where all the Jews lived. And they were marking who was the Jew and who wasn't. Yep. You people in Minnesota, I tell y'all what, I know there's some conservatives up there. I know there's some godly conservatives up there. Y'all need to grow up, get a pair, make the sacrifice for your state. But y'all are not. Y'all are not. Y'all are just as worse as the other ones because you're not doing what our statesmen did. You're not willing to sacrifice anything to protect your liberty and freedom in your own state. And you know what? If you drive down the road and local mob is allowed to set up roadblocks and checkpoints to screen you, you're done. You're done. Could you imagine? Just think about this, y'all. Could you imagine that if a bunch of good old boy rednecks set them up somewhere down here in Georgia and said, we're screening for Yankees. And if you're a Yankee coming across that damn state line, we don't want you here, and we're going to screen you. It's wrong. It's wrong on every freaking level. But somehow or another, the Democrats are praising this. They're advocating this. I'll go back to what I said before. The fact that this is happening, listen to Minnesota, I'm talking to you. The fact that this is happening, you're done for. You have no democracy. You have no liberty. You have no freedom, because the tax-paying dollars that you invest, the few ones that haven't been squandered by the Somalis and all the other corruption that your governor and your mayor, your attorney general, even Ilhan Omar, whatever her damn name is, all of them are profiting, getting rich off your fucking stupidity. I said frickin', I almost said something else. Stupidity is just a testament. Y'all are lost, man. Y'all are lost. Y'all have mob, gang, thug rule that has now taken over your law enforcement. Your police officers do not have the authority or the courage or the leadership to go drive up in cars and just break that shit up. It's like, what are you people doing? That's not First Amendment. That's nowhere remotely close about protecting speech. So, all right, man. Blood pressure's up. I have low blood pressure, very low blood pressure. Where am I at? There we go. Check that off. I got the Gaza Palestine shit out of the way. I think this is, I guess it's entertainment. I think it's odd. Now in the news, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't care, but I think it's ironic and hilarious that what was the mayor's name that got elected as New York? Mahani, whatever his name is, that piece of shit. that line tick turd that's conned all those people in New York City. Y'all are fools too. Y'all are worse than Minnesota, almost. No, y'all are equal to Minnesota. How's that? Y'all got conned and y'all bought it, hook, line, sinker, and all. Free buses. Free. We're gonna have government-run grocery stores. We're gonna have free. Everything has gone up. Price of energy's gone up. Bus fares gone up. The subway thing has gone up. Now they're bitching because the New York City has hired a contracting agency. When any government hires a contractor, somebody's getting rich. That's just the way it works. Just the way it works. So there's a conservative up in New York City who's questioning, well, hey, wait a minute. We're paying $35 million, that's with an M, $35 million to this contracting firm to stand guard to make sure that people don't jump over the little thingamajiggers for you don't have to pay for your subway fare. And they've already got all the video. They got the receipts, as Dan Bongino would say. But they're like, we're paying $35 million for a contractor. They're not doing anything. They're no better than the cops. They just stand there and look at you. They just jump over. You know, bad behavior continues when there's no immediate adverse consequences. Same thing with rioting, protesting, looting, whatever. It's going to continue because you become an enabler until there is immediate negative consequences. And anybody ever has been in the safety business has understood what's called behavior-based safety. Yeah. So this guy, Mandami, whatever his name is, I don't know how to pronounce it, and I don't care. He's a Muslim socialist is what he is. And he's a con artist. He's a lying sack of shit. Yeah, and YouTube, if you don't want to put this on there, that's fine. That's okay. I don't care. But he talked about what this great, all about the people and about their, what was it called? Collectivism. I don't know what that is. It's a socialist buzzword. I think last week 8 people froze to death, and they were not in any shelters. They just froze to death. And I'm like, damn, man, it's 2026. We got people freezing to death. Now, I will say this. If they're the strung out drug addicts, and there's a bunch of people now that they won't use the word homeless. They call them something else. I don't know what they call them. Anyway, some woke buzzword. But they're homeless because they ain't got no place to go. The reason they got no place to go because they have no responsibilities and they're not accountable for anything. And that's just like when we was little, we called them hobos. Hobos were usually they were stone cold alcoholics. They couldn't hold a job. They couldn't hold a job. Why? Because they were drunks. They were addicted to a drug, alcohol. They're not reliable. They're not accountable. They're not anything. They're not capable. None of that stuff. So what happens to those people? They become a pimple on society. They do. We have pimples. Society has pimples. So the homeless people, the ones that are out there and they're strung out on drugs, I know Jesus will walk out there and love on them and kiss on them and all that. And I get all that, y'all. And I don't take hope and faith away from nobody. But if somebody has chosen to live like that, then they suffer the consequences of their fate. They do. Anyway, the folks that I'm told that froze to death, I guess were in their houses or whatever, and they froze to death because they didn't have no damn heat. And I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't know what to tell you. I wonder how many people froze to death had a cell phone in their hand. I wonder how many people froze to death had drugs or alcohol on them. I wonder how many people froze to death had a fresh set of nails and eyelashes. That's no pun intended. That's rhetorical. Y'all got to answer that. All right. But back to the good mayor of New York City. Apparently, allegedly, there is good reason to believe and suspect that his mama was doing the dirty deed with Jeffrey Epstein. There is reason, people want DNA test. There is reason to believe that maybe this guy is the offspring of Mr. Epstein himself. Yeah, maybe. Who knows? I don't care. Yeah, you people in New York City, y'all gonna get what y'all got, man. Y'all asked for it. Told you. So, yeah, I forget the man's name, but the guy that wears a red bandana, is it a red beret bandana? Red beret. That's the guy that should be the mayor of New York City. I believe that wholeheartedly. That's the guy that should be in charge of New York City. This has come back up again, and it's got something to do with the bills that are being passed. And shame on you frickin' Republicans who can't stick with the crowd. I know y'all are like, well, we did, blah, 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 blah. Well, sometimes there's a time to take your armor off and get your whatever, your little virtual signals off your collar. And that's the reason oftentimes that the Democrats end up taking control is they stick together like glue. And we got a few people. And Chip Roy, I love you, man, but I know you got a reason. I know you can defend it. That's okay. We can agree to disagree. Chip, I'm just going to tell you what I think. I think you're wrong, and you're going to say, well, Jerry, you don't understand. And I'm going to go, okay, I probably don't. You're going to say, well, Jerry, you're wrong. And I'll say, okay, that's your opinion. And I'm going to say, no, Chip, you're wrong. And you're going to say, well, that's your opinion. I'm going to say, you're exactly right. But Chip and a handful of other ones, I think it's like 30-something other ones, y'all are wrong. Y'all are wrong. It's not about you. It's not about your beliefs. It's about the nation. It's about the nation. And I think you're wrong. We'll get past all that. But this has come back up again. Is that Chuck Schumer and his cronies, I'll just get to it. I don't see what the big problem is I just don't see it. And I don't think liberals see it either. They just don't, they just toe the line. What's the problem with having a voter ID requirement to vote? First of all, it's real simple. And anybody, I think, would agree with me. In order to register to vote in any election in the United States, whether it be local, county, city, state, it doesn't matter. Anybody who registers, that means just to be eligible to vote, to be approved to vote, you got to be a U.S. citizen. You got to be a U.S. citizen. If you are not a United States citizen, you don't even get a place in the line. That's number one. Number two, if by chance you happen to skirt because of the states running it, especially the blue states, you got to register to vote. You should not be able to vote in any election whatsoever unless you are a U.S. citizen. So we'll talk about like New York and Minnesota and I think Massachusetts, maybe even Maine. They give driver's license to people who are not U.S. citizens. No person in the United States of America should be issued a driver's license unless you're a U.S. citizen. If you don't have a driver's license, which is used 90-something% of the time as your proof of identity, if you're a U.S. citizen, you shouldn't get one if you're not a U.S. citizen. If you're a student visa and you want to drive, then you can get what's called what do we call it? An immigrant driving permit. How about that? Non-U.S. citizen driving permit, and you still got to pass the damn test to speak English. How's that? Yeah. And I don't understand what the problem is to be able to go vote. Why would anybody have a problem with going, well, yeah, I want to make sure the election has the integrity. I want to make sure we can trust the damn process. And one of the many ways we can trust process is make sure the people that are actually A, registering, B, casting a ballot, meaning they're voting, that they're actually a U.S. citizen. Yep. So the Democrats have a problem with this. And the reason, I mean, it's blatantly obvious, but the reason they have a problem with it is because they live off illegal votes. That's how they live off of it. How do you think they won the 2020 election? I know everybody, and maybe some liberal will watch this and go, oh, I'm not stupid. I'm not stupid. And the FBI has now raided those places down in Fulton County, Georgia. And now you got Fannie Willis and you got Stacey Abrams and some other woman on TV, and they're all screaming, this is not democracy. The FBI has raided the voting elections offices, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. In 2020, y'all said this was the safest, tightest, most ethical. I'm just paraphrasing, but y'all, this was ironclad, man. Y'all said this was we had ID requirement, but we had the largest voter turnout ever in the state of Georgia. And Stacey Abrams was going, oh, it's racist. They're oppressing people. They're being racist. Jim Crow, they want people to have ID cards. I'm like, you had the largest turnout you ever had ever recorded. I think I want to look at him and go, do you hear yourself? You make no sense when you talk. But if this election was as good as they say it was, you think that the people that was in charge of the election in Fulton County would just go, y'all come on in, boys. We got nothing to hide. Matter of fact, when y'all are done wasting the taxpayers' money, we're going to be in your face and go, see, I told you. But no, they're not doing that. They're screaming. They're screaming. It's like the parent who suspects that money's missing in a house or candy bars are disappeared out of the cupboard, and you go to your child's bedroom and you push the door and they push back and you open it and you go, I'm coming here looking for something. There is no candy bars in here. Well, if there's not, then what do you got to hide? I believe they're going to find the fraud in Fulton County, and I hope they do. I hope they find it. I hope they get all the charges lined up. I hope they have a grand jury, and I hope they put all their asses in jail. So, and Fannie Willis, you need to go with them. You are a ghetto thug criminal. I said it. So, yep. Allegedly. Anyway, just my opinion. This is freedom of speech. This right here is the First Amendment. I can say that. Okay. All right. Lastly is I'm going to say thank you to all those that are members of Border Patrol, all the ICE agents, anybody in law enforcement who is taking their oath seriously and doing their job. Not the law enforcement in Minneapolis, Minnesota. You guys are cowards. Cowards. I know you're like, well, you don't understand, man. I got a wife and 2 children. This is how I paid my bill. You got a choice. You got a choice. You going to live with what you do or you don't. You do have a choice. My hat's off to y'all. If I were in charge, if I were king for the day, but if I was in charge of all of this, let me tell you, water cannons, dogs, long 48-inch hickory sticks, damn a bunch of rubber bullets and paintballs, to be some damn busting ass, cracking skulls. Remember, if there's no immediate negative consequence, bad behavior continues and festers. Period. If you stand in front of a damn law enforcement's car and he runs over your ass and you hear yourself go and you come out the ass end and you're all busted up and broke and scarred up and you're bleeding out of every port of your body, here's some advice. Don't stand in front of moving cars, in particular law enforcement cars. Okay? If you are driving a car and you go toward a law enforcement officer, be prepared for these things called projectiles. They usually weigh on average about 115 to 124 to 135 grams, moving at over 2,000 feet per second. They're probably going to come flying through the windshield and they're going to ventilate your ass. That's the way it should be. So that girl named Renee Good, you ain't all that good, girl. No. Yeah, it's sad. You died. You died because your employer and your bull dyke girlfriend, they got you in that situation, but you had freedom of choice. You put yourself there. But the bottom line is your employer, somebody is paying y'all. Which leads me to my very last topic. All of you rioters, agitators, instigators, y'all are on payroll. You are being compensated to perform a duty. By law, if you get hurt or injured in any form or fashion, your employer is responsible for your safety and health. That's the law. Okay, you can look it up. Your employer is responsible for your safety and health. They have a law-abiding obligation. It's regulated by 29 CFR 1910. Unless it's a state plan, the state has to have the same thing. But it's regulated. Your employer has a bound duty to be able to recognize hazards associated with what you're being paid to do. Whether you're cutting grass, trimming trees, picking up trash, it doesn't matter. Even if you hire contract employees. So if you're contracting out labor, you are responsible for their safety and health. Yep. Unless, like through a temp agency. So if your temp agency has got like a pool of 5,000 agitators and they're all under a blanket of like Pink Hat or some shit, and y'all are being paid, then the person that's in charge of you is responsible for your safety and health. And if I was the loved one or a parent of anybody like that idiot that got shot because he kicked the taillight out and then he pulled a gun in Minnesota, that guy, he and all that guy that was supposed to be a nurse, he was a fired nurse, is the way I understand it. And if you look on the credible news outlets, he was a pervert crossdresser, is what I understand. Do all pervert crossdressers need to be shot? No, but they're making it sound like he was just this. Oh, he was such a good boy. Yeah. What was his name? Plenty. I put a box on the internet the other day. Good and plenty. Yeah, how's that taste? But yeah, if rioting and protesting is known to have hazards, and it does, like driving at police cars or standing in front of police cars or getting. I love that one. The girl that she picked up a flashbang grenade before it went off. Man, you can't make that up. That's like eating Tide Pods or some shit. Yeah. So my hat's off to you ICE agents. Boys, keep it up. Keep it up. And I'm sorry y'all have the restraints on y'all that you do. No American citizen who's trying to do good for America, trying to make the city and the streets and the community safer, should have to stand in the street and have some numbnucks wearing a nose ring with purple hair screaming at you, spitting at you, and calling you every name in the book. You shouldn't have to endure that. That's the reason they invented throat punch. Yeah. Yeah. All right. That's it. This is episode number 175. I'm already at 45 minutes, and I'm 15 minutes over. That's it. All politics today. It's all politics today. Happy birthday to my great sister, Robin. I love you. And Mike Coker, I don't know where you be, but you do need to wake up, and you do need to go to work. Bicycle.